Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Rundown, where we talk about 2A news and conservative views. I will be your host today, Craig DeLuz, not coming to you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. In fact, I'm coming to you from the Big Island in Hawaii. But as we all know, I do not do this program by myself.
Did you really on the Big Island? You're not on Oahu?
Oh no, I'm on the Big Island.
Oh, all right, okay, all right. Hey, welcome to the program. Coming to you live from the East Coast. That's the coast. I'm the co-host with the most from the coast with the most here on the Rundown. Mike Piwowarski, glad to be with you. And Craig, we are also coming to you from outside the normal studio. We're coming to you from Lion Arms. Lion Arms. It's lionarmsusa.com. Lionarmsusa.com. And if you go on there and you say you saw us on the Rundown, 50% off. Oh, he's freaking out. No, 15% off. Sorry. 15% off. 15% off.
Please don't get us in trouble.
Yeah, lionarmsusa.com, lionarmsusa.com. What do you got, Craig? You got any discount pineapple juice or anything to sell us? Any deals, any specials?
Pineapples, but I do have, an exceptional day, because today is not just any normal day in Hawaii. It's also Hump Day.
Mike. What day is it, Mike?
It's Hump Day.
Hump Day.
Hump Day.
It's Hump Day.
Hump Day.
Hump Day.
Woo, that's right, folks. Today is the day in which we attempt to begin the weekend, sometimes with success, sometimes not. Today I'm having success. That's all I got to say.
Hey, what's the you always here, right? Especially at Magnet shop here at the Lion Arms, lionarmsusa.com. What's the temperature like there?
It's like mid 70s, low 80s, about 80% humidity. Really
80%. There you go. And you're not across the international date line, so you're yesterday there, right?
I'm not across the international date line, so I am actually, what would it be, 6 hours after you. Normally I'm
6 hours.
Now I'm 6.
You're 6 hours before.
No, after.
What time is it here?
There it would be
6 o'clock. 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
What time is it there?
Here it's noon.
Noon. So does noon come before or after 6?
Say it again.
Does noon come before or after 6?
Anyway, my point is you have already had 6 o'clock, so we come after you guys do.
You're 6 hours before us. It's okay. We get it.
Whatever.
Again, that's why the only time zone that matters is the East Coast. Yeah.
It hit noon here after it hit noon. 6 hours after it hit noon there. You want to say before or after? Dude, come on, really? We're gonna.
But by then nobody cares. It's past. It's past then. It's just history. It's history.
I keep forgetting your desire to have the complete and utter dominance of the East Coast time zone is a thing.
I believe the East Coast time zone should be the time zone around the world the whole time. You know that it's 6 hours difference. Just set your clock the same way you would. All right. We all could be on the same time zone with this. And this point would be moot because we'd be like, what time is it?
Mike,
6.
I don't do that. I don't do that when I'm in California. I'm definitely not going to do that when I'm in Hawaii.
You're worried about staying alive in California. You don't need to worry about the clock over there. It doesn't matter.
No, here's the thing. I'm not worrying about alligators hopping fences in Hawaii.
Not worried about it. I'm curious, what time is it in Old Sac right now?
What are we talking about? We're talking about Old Sac. It would be what, 3 o'clock? 3:05?
3 o'clock. There you go. Okay. Yep.
Anyway, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to go ahead and get to it here real quick. But before we do, let's go ahead and give a quick shout out to our sponsors.
Yeah, let's start with Hitman Industries. That's hitmanindustries.net, hitmanindustries.net. You can get yourself AR rifles for your pistol or for your rifle, AR barrels for your pistol or your rifle, pistol or rifle caliber, any length available. Check them out at hitmanindustries.net. California Republican Assembly fighting a good fight from behind enemy lines. Now you can take part in California's future today. Please pay special attention to the California 6th congressional race. If you want the best in tactical concealed holsters on the market, get on over to Hog Holsters. That's HAWG holsters.com, hogholsters.com. Use the discount code The Rundown. Get a nice little discount there. That's all one word, all caps, no spaces. And if you going to the field, going outdoors, you want some going outdoor kind of hunting kind of gear, kind of outdoor gear, get over to uscombatgear.com. And again, today's special sponsor, we're coming to you live from their studios here at lionarmsusa.com, lionarmsusa.com. Call them. You got to go to the website first. Then you call them, tell them you saw us on the rundown, and you'll get 15% off what you want to buy. Guns included.
Folks, you can't do excuse me, you can't do any better than that. Go check them out, Lion Arms. Check out all of our sponsors. I mean, they're the ones who bring us to you. And I'll tell you what, they are such good guys. That's the reason why we do this show, because one, we know you guys like it. But number two, we want to make sure to promote them. Even when we're on vacation, we want to make sure that we're doing a good job making sure that you guys are visiting them. So do us a favor, follow the links in the description to the program. Go to their website, spend some money with them, and make sure you tell them it was the guys over at the Rundown that sent you, and you get you a little special gift, which is discount.
There you go.
All right.
He'll put some extra stickers in there, some special HMD stickers. If you know what that is, you get 25% off.
Ooh, very nice, very nice. All right, well, let's go ahead and get to our first story. Bum, bum, bum. All right, another indictment for Donald Trump. Now, if you were to ask me, if I were Donald Trump and you were to ask me, Mr. Trump, Mr. President, what could we possibly do to help you deal with these indictments in order to make sure that the people do not take any of this stuff seriously? Here's what I would do. Here's what I would suggest. First of all, you take a BS indictment. Make it come out of New York, right? And make it all about, trying to cover up some crime that has never been charged as a crime. And, oh, by the way, charge him 37 times for the same exact thing, right? Make it so obviously stupid that no legal scholar would even give it any credibility, all right? Then the most serious potential charge, put it smack dab in the middle, right? And do us a favor and make sure that you charge me with something that the rest of the world knows you shouldn't really be charging me with, because you've already let a Democrat go of it, right? You've already let a Democrat go who did the same exact thing, right? And then put another BS, for lack of a better term, trumped up charge at the very end. So what we've got is a BS trumped up charge indictment sandwich. And that's what they have right now with Donald Trump, because nobody can take this stuff seriously. Here, let me pull up the thingy right here. I got to get to the right page. All right. So right now, lawmakers and all candidates and a whole bunch of people right now are talking about Donald Trump's third indictment. Here, I'll read just a little bit of it for you. It says, the reaction to Donald Trump being indicted for the third time was swift on Capitol Hill and among the former president's Republican rivals on Tuesday. The big picture. The reaction among lawmakers mostly followed party lines, as Democratic leaders calling Trump's January 6th indictment the most serious and most consequential so far, and Republicans largely rushing to the defense of the former president. It was more divided among Trump's 2020 presidential rivals. Now, Mike, in essence, what they are charging him with is they're saying that they're basically saying that his statements or his making a point that the 2020 election was stolen was what was one, an attempt to overturn the election, and then number two, and to make it called scurrilous, it was that caused the January 6th riots. Now, the first thing is they don't charge him for the second. In other words, in all of their public statements, they talk about how he was incited the riots, but they don't actually charge him with it. But all of the rest of it is basically saying, okay, I have a legal theory or argument, regardless of whether you want to believe it's valid or not. If you have a legal valid as to why you really won the election and you state it publicly, then you are guilty of felonies of attempted conspiracy to defraud the government and to conspire to steal an election. Now, last I checked, there are a lot of people who would be guilty of this, including Stacey Abrams, including Al Gore, including John Kerry, and George Bush, to be quite honest. All of them would be guilty of this very same crime if this were actually a crime.
Yeah, absolutely. But the problem is, Craig, that they did not happen in a Republican when they were eligible to be charged. It did not happen in a Republican stronghold in a Republican city in a Republican state. This is the reason it comes out of Fulton County, Georgia, right? Because it's Democrat, 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 and then you have the state, which is a Republican state there in Georgia. Though, on the other hand, but to charge him for a perceived tertiary effect. Without charging him for the riots. We're going to charge him for this because we think he did this thing 3 ways down the road, but we're not charging him with that. And this is just ludicrous. If I'm Donald Trump right now, I'm thanking the Fulton County District Attorney, because he's it's probably another $10 million he's going to make this week, and we know this is going to go nowhere. This is going to get tossed. It's not going to make it pass. You got to remember now the courts in Fulton County, even if he was convicted, go to the Republican-controlled state Supreme Court in Georgia. So it's not like this has any legs to it at all upon appeal and review, and that's what they will do in this state if they decide to even acknowledge this case and just immediately start appealing it and let it go to the higher courts, to the Republican held courts there in the state of Georgia, and this whole thing will get just washed away. As for they're saying that because he made these claims that the election was being stolen from him. I believe, Craig, that just lends credibility to his speech that night, to the things he said that day. He said things like, "You're not standing up. You're not doing what you need to do. You're not questioning the vote, which is within your legal authority to do so." And I'll tell you why, because there are a number of politicians out there with higher aspects. There's a number of judges out there with higher aspects, and they did not want to be the ones to go down in history as the one that made a decision that started bloodshed, because that's where this was going. Okay, this was the theft of an election away, and there were several judges out there, whether the evidence you agree supported or didn't support, they made decisions that would stop everything immediately on both sides of the aisle there, that would keep violence from occurring. And I'm sorry, at some point, like our founding fathers did, they had to throw caution to the wind and do what was right and not worry about the ramifications. You have to move forward with what's right.
Well, I mean, so far what we're seeing is we're watching a lot of the accusations, a lot of the theories where we've watched them either unravel or go unproven. But yet and still, it is a legal theory that he is allowed to pontificate and say, look, there's a lot of questions out there that need to be answered because this stuff doesn't make sense. There's also other evidence that shows that big tech, and we now know that big tech colluded with the alphabet agencies and the Democratic Party to not only attempt to thwart his first election in 2016 with Russian propaganda, with the whole lie about Russian collusion, but then they turned around and they did the same exact thing by trying to cover up for Hunter Biden in the 2020 election. Not by attempting to cover up, by covering up for Hunter Biden in the 2020 election. We now know this. Now, and you can't tell me that didn't have an impact on the election. These are all things that we now know. Oh, and I almost forgot, there was the changing of rules in the middle of the stream, in the middle of the game. State of Pennsylvania, their Supreme Court already said, yeah, while we're not going to undo an election, They were not the people who changed the rules did not have the authority to change the election rules when they did during COVID. They just didn't have the authority. Not you couldn't, but the people who changed the rules didn't have the authority to do it. All
Yeah,
of this
amazing,
adds
Craig.
up to all this adds
Yeah,
up to I think a credible conversation where you can at least publicly talk about an election being stolen.
amazing, right? How the state that authored the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution was the one to say, "Oh, we don't want to go to make changes. That would be bad for people. We don't want to do that."
Well, one of the things that we now know, and when you start adding in these multi-day voting stuff and all of that, it's made it difficult to. There has to be a way to create a legal framework around which you can file some of these cases and actually have them heard in a reasonable amount of time before the new president takes office. Because one of
But
the
Craig,
biggest issues with this was standing was a big issue in many cases when they filed cases. They didn't have proper standing. And there were cases where I think that had they been able to be heard in a reasonable amount of time, then they could have made the changes before the election was confirmed.
Craig, you have to understand though, they have to have time to get things ready to go to court. I mean, listen, you have to go to the library. There's no electricity there, right? You're not allowed to bring in candles because that would start everything on fire. You have to do the manual research. You have to pull out your ink and quill in order to write down your documents, and then you got to get on your horse and you got to ride to DC to file the paperwork. That takes months, Craig. There's no way to do it any quicker than that now.
Well, you can delay when the new president takes office. I mean, we
Exactly.
have the ability now to set up a legal process where that can happen. We don't have to do all of that stuff. We don't have to do all of that stuff like they had to do back then.
Greg, it's instantaneous now. Obviously, being a little snarky here, but it's
Yeah,
instantaneous. This could happen.
right. Anyway, and then there's the whole point of this happens the day after Hunter Biden's partner, was his name Todd Archer, Devin Archer. Devin Archer decides comes forward and testifies before Congress. How scurrilous is that?
Like I said, right? What the Hunter Biden deal fell through. Release the aliens. Release the aliens.
Release
I mean,
the
come on.
aliens.
It's all about finding a way to don't look over here. Don't look over there. Look over here. It's a it's a little street corner magic tricks is what it is to divert your attention away from the real story.
Oh, good stuff. Good stuff. All right, let's move it right along. Speaking of Devin Archer, so Hunter's partner, Devin Archer, decided to come forward. Not decided. He pretty much came forward and testified. And now he kind of tried, it sounds like he tried to split the baby, right? He tried to say, well, he wasn't really involved in our business. He didn't really know. They're trying to say he had him on the phone over 20 times talking with Hunter Biden's business partners, talking with the Biden crime family's business partners. And he's trying now to say, well, they weren't really, he didn't really know if he was, he didn't really talk to anybody about business. He really just kind of, used him to create what did he say? The illusion that they had access, or the illusion that he was part of the process.
Yes, yeah, and that's again part of this, right? We're talking about is that he comes forward, he says all of these things. We now we're going to come up with these crazy trumped up charges, so to speak, right? Not to, no pun intended. And you've got a level that it still astounds me because I know that there's people out there, even Democrats, so I'll call them people, right? That know this. They're smart and they have to know this is not true. And if they took 2 minutes to say, "Listen, let me do my moment's research and see that this is not true," they would know that. But instead, we end up with blind obedience. It's Orwellian, to think about it. It's just the talking head said this, so I must do the task that they say. It's absolutely astounding that they get away with this every time.
Well, and here's the thing. What we now know is, so we know that he lied when he said he had never talked with Hunter about his business. We now know that's a flat out lie. We know that he can't say he's never been involved, knowingly or unknowingly. If you were talking on the phone with his business partners and people with whom he was trying to get money from, then yes, you were involved. And here's the other thing now we're going to be tracking, and we've already got a number of instances where there are conversations that were had. President Biden or Biden at the time, Vice President Biden, talked with a partner, talked with one of the partners, and then not long after that, an action was taken that benefited that partner. Enough incidences of that, and people say that, well, you can't convict somebody on circumstantial evidence. If you have enough circumstantial evidence, like coincidence can only account for so many different it can only account for so many different times where Biden talked to somebody and then eventually something got done for them, and oh, by the way, Hunter Biden collected a bag of cash.
Yeah, and listen, I've seen juries convict on almost no evidence at all. Once you involve the jury and emotions into it, and not the law, that's dangerous, and that's one of the risks of the trial by jury, trial by your peers, so to speak. It's I'm curious, Craig, what you think as far as what's going to happen. I really believe that we have one side of this argument just doing blind obedience, and how do we snap that? How do we break that? Does it take the draining of the swamp? Does it take 4 years of watching people cry and be miserable when all of these woke rights have been given to them, then we finally take them away and get back to a state of normalcy as far as the rest of the world is concerned?
It's going to take literally. It's going to take a number. It's going to take a number of instances of the Democratic Party and the media being caught with blood on their hands, with them being caught red-handed cheating, lying, for people to wake up. Honestly, that's what it's going to take. Because, and the funny part is that it's so obvious now on a myriad of issues. It's impossible for me to believe that there are people out there who don't. But the problem is, the media is not going to tell on themselves. Democrats aren't going to tell on themselves.
Yeah. I think it's going to take getting like a Zuckerberg or somebody like that, or one of the heads of these the major television corporations, and charging them with treason and sedition when they put this false information out, when they put this influenced information out. I think you're going to have to put cuffs on a billionaire and watch them do the perp walk for other people to finally go, maybe we shouldn't broadcast that. Maybe just have a newscaster say, because a newscaster gets to say whatever they want under the cover of the First Amendment. You can't. When it hurts and damages other people, it's no longer legal to say it.
Well, exactly. And in cases like this, I'm telling you, we've got what is literal election interference. As whether you look at the information that's now come out that the FBI's been looking into, not the FBI, the
DOJ,
the DOJ, that they were involved in elections. And then you look at stuff that come out during the Twitter files. I think it's eventually going to be obvious to people, and I'm hoping that people wake up. I don't know that they will, but I'm hoping that they do. All right.
There you go. Me too.
We're going to move on to our next story. And while I've got you, I'm going to adjust my sound because I understand that some of my sound ain't quite working right, but I know what to do. I know exactly where it's at. And all I got to do is come here and go to, where's it at? Bam. Now that should sound better. Okay.
Nope.
DeSantis.
Nope.
DeSantis v. Harris.
There you go. Talk that level. There you go.
All right. All right. So we got DeSantis v. Harris. All right. So we've talked a couple of times about the information, the data that's been coming out, or the conversation, the things that people have been talking about relating to Black history being taught in Florida, and how Democrats, most significant among them, the vice president, came out and pretty much has lied, saying that they're teaching. First, they said that, well, they don't want to teach real Black history. Then they don't want to teach Black history, even though they have since the early 90s, late 80s, been required to teach Black history. And they have a whole 109-page document full of guidelines that tell them what's supposed to be included. And it includes all of the horrible atrocities of slavery and all of that. But because they didn't want to teach DEI or critical race theory, they were considered, well, it was considered, well, you don't want to teach real history because you don't want to teach about Black Lives Matter, or you don't want to, allow that as sort of indoctrination. Then you don't really want to teach Black history. Then they came around, and now then people started saying, well, they want to teach that slavery was beneficial to Black people because of something that was included, once again, in that 109-page document that included all of the guidelines. And then they lied about the fact, or at least they didn't bother to look into the fact that the AP course that they were advancing, guess what? It included the exact same thing. Well, Ron DeSantis has decided, you know what? I'm not going to put up with your lies anymore. I'm actually going to invite you. I'm going to invite you, Madam Vice President, to come on out to Florida, visit us, and we can debate and talk about Black history, what is and is not included. In fact, I will bring the scholar who helped put together, the guy who headed the committee that put together the guidelines there in Florida, and I'm going to have you debate him and talk with him about Black history. And needless to say, the Democrats, I don't think, Mike, I'm pretty sure she's not going to bother showing up.
No. And by the way, I want to thank her yesterday for making me a half hour late to an appointment because the rolling roadblocks when she came to Orlando to go talk at the convention center. And she got there and she got up and did her talk down to the masses like they were kindergarten kids. And you know what? I understand because that's about the level of her education anyway. So that's as well as she could speak informatively. It's a clear lie. She's lied. And again, it's just like every other story that we see. They focus on one point, take it out of context, and try and blow it up. And it's not the truth. The quote from the AP lessons and from the new approved curriculum is that even under all kinds of adversity, that they were able to develop methods to try and find ways to live a little bit better. That was it.
Well, no, you're 100% right. That was what the goal was. The goal was to say, look, that even when you're dealing with, that a people to be able to what's the word I'm looking for? To overcome. And that's really what it is, that even during very, very tough times, they were able to overcome their circumstances and pull something positive out of it. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. The fact that African Americans or peoples of African descent, former people of slave descent, the fact that we as a people have survived slavery is miraculous. And the fact that we have thrived, you know, uh, not to the degree that we could or that we should or that we're all hoping to, but we've done a pretty darn good. That we're actually doing a pretty good job. Anyway,
you know what I like, Craig, the best about this is an incredible piece of news media that's going around, right? Again, been lied on by the Democrats by Kamala Harris. I love the position. And if you start watching these things and looking at the world of politics, and Craig, I know as a candidate for federal office, you're looking at these things. Look at what Donald Trump's doing right now. Look at what Donald Trump's doing right now. This is obviously a point he agrees with. This is obviously, something that he's all for, getting the history, taught correctly. But he's letting DeSantis take the body blows on this one. DeSantis is up fighting the fight. And why is Donald Trump not getting in there and trying to take some of the credit to this? Because he's got 40 points up on the polls over DeSantis. Let DeSantis make his points, and in the end, those are going to end up as Trump points.
No, DeSantis has a long way to go if he's ever going to climb back into it. I'm not going to say that he can't. I'm just saying the odds are against him because I just think that, once again, there is something visceral about Donald Trump that for people who really like him and people who really hate him, there's something visceral, and I don't think people's attitudes are going to change enough when you consider that 60% of the Republican electorate is like, yeah, we back Trump. I don't know how you undo, and that's in spite of everything. I mean, like I said, when he said that he could go stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody and get away with it, he was not lying.
So let me say this, folks, for everybody out there, and you're trying to figure out how to get those people to turn back towards Donald Trump. Those, oh, I hate him, or his tweets, or he's not presidential enough. Here's what you got to do. Here's two questions that I ask everybody: is would you rather have 8 years of extreme conservatism bringing our nation back on the right course, or 12 years of it? Because if you're like Donald Trump first, you get 4 years, and then you get DeSantis for 8 years after that. Would you rather have 12, or would you rather just have 8? And if you're still sitting on the fence, go look at your wallet. Go look at your bank account, go look at your stocks, go look at your IRAs, and think, man, do I really want to have to deal with a mean tweet today? Oh, you know what? Take the Dom Perignon away. I'm tired of drinking that every day. There's too much money in my house. Look at where your wallet was 3 years ago as compared to where it is now.
Well, and while I don't think there are obviously never Trumpers who for some reason would still make the wrong decision on that case. I think for some people for a lot of people it's a matter of, well, can Trump win? And I think right now the polls are showing that no, he's got as good a chance, if not a better chance, than DeSantis does.
Yeah.
Once again,
and
it's all
then Biden as well.
well. Oh, there you go. I'm sorry. Can he beat Don? In the end, can he beat Joe Biden? And that's what it really comes down to. If you can't beat Joe Biden, it doesn't matter. And quite frankly, it looks like Donald Trump has a better shot than even Ron DeSantis does of beating Joe Biden.
Yes. Yep.
All right. Moving right along to
we are at the limit here. Craig, you want to just save the last story for tomorrow, and we'll move to the closers?
Let's go ahead and
Parting
do
shot?
that. Let's go ahead and move on to our parting shots. Let's see here. All righty. And we're going to move on to our parting shots, brought to you by Hog Holsters. Just go to hogholsters.com and get your Hog Holster today. Make sure you use the discount code The Rundown, all caps, no spaces. Get your Hog Holster today. All right, our first one. This one actually, I'm going to do in honor of Mike. Was giving me a lot of crap before the show because I'm wearing a tank top and I'm looking all casual here in Hawaii. So he sent me this one. It says, my medical bracelet finally arrived. It says, if I die lifting weights, add more weights, then call 911.
Yeah, buddy. That's how you do it.
Oh, good stuff, good stuff. Oh, then there's this one. You want? Can you read this one, Mike?
Yeah, I sure can. That's Jason Aldean with his wife and her a lot of cleavage sitting there, and you've got Joe Biden leaning over, kissing her on the head from behind, and his hands on her shoulders, kind of in Joe Biden gropey fashion. And it says, an Aldean quote: "Try groping my wife in front of me in a small town." Oh, wait, never mind.
I don't think that's Joe Biden. I think that's Donald Trump, bruh. I noticed because there's no bald spot in the back of his head.
Oh, I couldn't see the orange. I couldn't see the orange.
Yeah. Good stuff. But we do have Joe Biden here with us.
That's right.
On the top part of the meme, it says, government has failed you. On the bottom part of the meme, it says, I've been in government for 49 years.
Yep. Yeah, he has.
Oh, yeah, and then there's this that came out from the UFO hearings. On the top, you have an alien that says, take me to your leader. And is it just me, or does it look like Joe Biden has sniffed that thing to death?
Oh, yeah, he's groping it from behind and giving it the old neck sniff. Yep.
Joe, creepy Uncle Joe.
Creepy Joe, creepy
Definitely
Joe.
Creepy Uncle Joe. All right, folks. Well, hey, we're just about done. But before we go, we want to make sure to give one last shout out to our sponsors.
That's right. Hitman Industries, hitmanindustries.net. If you got yourself an AR from them in the past 5 years, probably got one of their rifle barrels and you don't even know it. Well, now you can go buy from them direct pistol or rifle calibers, pistol and rifle length barrels available. California Republican Assembly fighting a good fight behind enemy lines. Now you can take part in California's future today. Make sure you pay attention to the California 6 congressional race. And of course, if you want some awesome field gear, tactical gear, get on over to U.S. Combat Gear. And once again, thanks again to the studios here at lionarmsusa.com, lionarmsusa.com. Give them a call and get 15% off your purchase. But you got to call them to do it.
Give them a holler, folks. Give them a holler. And with that, we'll call it a day. We will be back tomorrow on Throat Punch Thursday. I'll let you then.